I'm Kianna,
I'm Laura.
I'm Julie.
and this is Chapter 4, Sections 4.6 through 4.8. I'm in charge of Section 4.6.
I'm in charge of lesson 4.7.
I'm in charge of lesson 4.8. Let's get on to the video.
4.6. Okay, so this is Chapter 4, Section 4.6, titled Use Congruent Triangles, and this is number 21 from the 4.6 exercises. This question is asking us to use the vertices of triangle ABC and triangle DEF to show that measure A is congruent to measure D, and to explain our reasoning. So they give us the vertices of triangles A, B, and C, and they give us the vertices of triangle D, E, and F. So to solve this problem, we have to first find the distance between each of the vertices from both triangles using the distance formula. We know that the distance formula is the square root of x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. So to find the distance between the vertices, all we have to do is basically plug in the values. So let's start with the distance between vertice A, which is 3/7, and vertice B, which is 6/11. X2 in this case would be 6, x1 would be 3, so 6 minus 3 squared, plus y2, which is 11, minus y1, which is 7 squared. Simplify it, 3 squared plus 4 squared. 3 squared is 9, plus 4 squared, which is 16, equals 25, and we still have to find the square root of 25, and that equals to 5. So the distance between A and B is 5. And basically we can do this with the rest of the vertices. So now let's go to B, which is 6/11, and C, which is 11/13. Distance formula, x2, 11 minus x1, 6 squared, plus y2, 13 minus 11 squared. Simplify it, 11 minus 6 is 5 squared, plus 13 minus 11 is 2 squared. 5 squared is 25, plus 2 squared is 4, equals 29. We have to find the square root of that. And the square root of 29 is about 5.5 when you plug that into your calculator. So the distance between B and C is 5.5. Now we can do the same thing for C, which is 11/13, and A, which is 3/7. Just do the distance. X2 in this case, it doesn't matter really what x2 is, but I prefer the bigger number because it's easier. So x2 we can say is 11 minus x1 is 3 squared, plus y2, 13 minus y1, 7 squared. Simplify it, 11 minus 3 is 8 squared, plus 13 minus 7, 6 squared. 8 squared is 64, 6 squared is 36. 64 plus 36 is 100. The square root of 100 is 10 actually. So we already found the distance between A and B, B and C, and C and A. So we have the side lengths of the triangle, of the first triangle, which is ABC. Now we have fourths. We have E, which is 5 and -8. So we have x2, 5 minus x1, 2 squared, plus negative 8, which is y2, minus negative 4, which is y1 squared. Simplify it. 3 squared plus 8 plus negative 8 plus 4 would be negative 4 squared. Simplify it. 9 plus 16 equals 25. Square root of 25 equals 5. So this is between D and E is 5. We would do the same thing for E and negative 8 and F 10. You have the square root of x2, 10 minus 5 minus x1, 5. You square it, plus negative 10 minus negative 8 squared. 10 minus 5 is 5, plus negative 10 plus 8 would be negative 2 squared. 20. 5 squared is 25, plus negative 2 squared is 4. You have 29. Square root of 29 is about 5.5. And then we would do the same exact thing with F and D. F, which is 10, negative 10, and D, which is 2, negative 4. 2, negative 4. We do the same thing. X2, use a bigger number to make it easier. Minus x1 squared plus negative 10 minus negative 4 squared. Simplify it. 10 minus 2 is 8, plus negative 10 plus 4 is negative 6. 8 squared is 64, plus negative 6 squared is 36. That equals 100 minus square root. That is 10. So the side lengths of triangle DEF are 5, 5.5, and 10, which are the same as the side lengths of triangle A, B, and C. So now you know that triangle A, B, and C is congruent to triangle D, E, and F. But the question is asking us, use the vertices to show that these two angles from both of the triangles are congruent. So measure A, angle A, actually, corresponds to angle D from triangle DEF. And therefore, since the triangles are congruent, you can use the reasoning CPCTC, corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent, to show that angle A is congruent to angle D.
This is 4.7.
This is chapter 4.7, use isosceles and equilateral triangles. In this specific problem, we need to find the unknown measure. Based on Theorem 4.8, converse of base angles theorem, if two angles of a triangle are congruent, then the sides opposite to them are congruent. Since angle B is congruent to angle C, then lines AB and AC are congruent. In this situation, angle B is also equal to angle C. This is showing that line AB is equal to AC. So, line AB is equal to 12. You can also solve this by using the law of cosines, which states sine of B over 12 is equal to sine of c over x. X would be the unknown measure. Since a triangle is 180 degrees, sine of b would be sine 60 is equal to sine 60 over x, 12. Cross multiply, we get 12 sine of 60 is equal to x sine of 60. Dividing sine of 60 to isolate the variable, the signs cancel out, and you get that the unknown measure is 12. Line AB is equal to 12. In this problem, it's asking, what is the value of x in the diagram? Based on the theorem 4.8, if two angles of a triangle are congruent, then the sides opposite them are congruent. These two angles are congruent, meaning that the sides opposite to them are also congruent. So, 3x plus 4 is equal to 22. 3x is equal to 18. Divide by 3 on both sides. X is equal to 6.
This is 4.8.
This is chapter 4.8, Perform Congruence Transformations. This specific question is asking us to copy figure A, B, C, D and draw its image after the transformations. This specific transformation is asking us to move 2 units to the right and 3 units down. So, let's first write the coordinates of A, B, C, and D. A is -3, 1. B is 2, 3. C is 3, 0. And D is -1, -1. This is asking us to add 2 to the x values and subtract 3 from the y values. Once we do that, we will get the image of each point. That means A prime will be -3 plus 2 is -1, and 1 minus 3 is -2. B prime will be 2 plus 2 is 4, 3 minus 3 is 0. C prime will be 3 plus 2 is 5, 0 minus 3 is -3. And D prime will be -1 plus 2 is 1, and -1 minus 3 is -4. I will then plot these points onto the graph. A prime will be -1, -2, so that would go right here. B prime would be 4, 0, so that would go right here. C prime would be 5, -3, and D prime would be 1, -4. Label the coordinates and then connect. And there you have it. Figure A, B, C, and D is transformed 2 units to the right, 3 units down into image A prime, B prime, C prime, and D prime. This question is asking us to use a reflection in the x-axis, this axis, to draw the other half of the figure. This is the same thing as multiplying all of the y values by -1. Or you could count how many up across from the x-axis and do the same thing on the bottom. So A prime will stay where A is. B is 3 y values above the x-axis, so go 3 values below. So this would be B prime. C is 1 value above the x-axis, so stay on the 4, go 1 value below. C prime. D is 2 units above the x-axis, so go 2 units below. While stay on the 5, and this will be D prime. And E prime will stay as E. You then connect the points. And there you go. This question says, some words reflect onto themselves through a vertical line of reflection. An example is shown. Wow. This means that it could be reflected over this red line and it would still be the same word. 2 words with vertical lines of reflection. Draw the line of reflection for each word. 2 words that have a vertical line of reflection would be mom, where the line of reflection would be on the O. Mom across would be mom. Another word would be bid. B-I-D. The line of reflection would be on the I. If you reflect it over the red line, it would be the same word. This B is asking to find 2 words with horizontal lines of reflection. Draw the lines of reflection for each word. A word that would horizontally reflect amongst itself would be the word decided. The line of reflection for this word would be straight through the word horizontally. If you reflect it over, it would still be the word decided. And another word would be choice, where the horizontal line of reflection would be across the word choice. If you reflect it on the same thing, it would still be its own word, choice. Thank you.
This is chapter 4,
Lesson 4.6.
Lesson 4.7.
lesson 4.8.
Hope you enjoyed the video.
Bye.